again, everyone. This is Rudolph Wilkins of Forgotten Fitness, and today I will be discussing with all of you a very humble piece of exercise equipment that has been used for a very long time, and that is the wrist roller. I think of every piece of exercise equipment there is, the wrist roller is probably the most overlooked, but yet it has so many uses. When I was an athlete in high school, I played American football, wrestling, I threw the shot put and discus and track, and I really needed a strong grip. I also did powerlifting, competitive powerlifting at the elite level in Texas. Admittedly, I wasn't the strongest, but I was fairly strong and capable. And an exercise I always relied on to build up my strength and power was the wrist roller. I actually never did a wrist curl until a couple years back, but I've been using a wrist roller for over 8 years. It has kept its popularity in sports and training, but in regards to bodybuilding, it has definitely fallen off in favor of other methods. Some people just say altogether you don't need to train your wrists and just do curls or some rowing variation, and that'll be enough. I'm not necessarily under that mindset, and neither were guys like Vince Gironda or Bill Pearl. They did specialization in their forearms, and John Grimmick as well, as depicted here, did specialization in their forearms to build their forearms up and to get that strength and power. I don't believe you can just neglect a body part and it'll grow, and that includes the abdominals as well. I think if you want nice sharp abs, you need to train them, but there are ways to train them, and overtraining is always a factor you have to consider and avoid that. But the wrist roller I've been using, gosh, like I said, for about 8 years. It's been a staple for me. I've never given up on it. Admittedly, I don't do competitive powerlifting anymore. I'm not a big fan of the deadlift. I love the squat, but I've never been a big fan of the deadlift. But I've kept the wrist roller in my routine because if I ever do any rows, any single arm rows or barbell rows, it always helps to have a really strong grip. And of course, this exercise, it targets your grip and your flexors and extensors in the forearms and wrists. And it's simply amazing. Now I see a lot of people perform it incorrectly, so I figured this video would help clarify some things. Now there are a couple different variations of this movement, but I'll be showing you the one I've been doing for many years. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comment section and I'll be able to help you out. But in this video we're going to go over the background and the history and uses of the wrist roller. I'm going to explain to you how I do it, my form, and I'll show you a brief demonstration. So I hope you all enjoy this video. So what is the wrist roller? Well, a wrist roller is a very simple machine that consists of a bar with a hole drilled in the center and a rope or cord attached to that hole and knotted, and a way in which to affix weights. Now, the one depicted here on the right is actually an original York wrist roller, and it is simply a knot with a loop, and you simply feed the weight through you feed the knot through the weight, and then through the bar, and then bring it back through, and that's how you get your connection. There are other methods that have actual weight holders, plate holders, and you put the plates on them that way. It doesn't really matter, but those are the three parts that make up a wrist roller. It's a very simple machine. There's not a lot to it. Of course, it is extremely portable because it is so small and minimalistic. It was a very common piece of equipment during the silver era of, well, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and weightlifting, just strength sports in general. This was a recommended item because it gave you that increase in strength and power and built up your forearms. And it is commonly believed to be one of the premier ways to build strength and size in the forearms, and that is true even to this day. Often implemented as a supplementary movement to increase grip strength. It is a perfect addition to a home gym, as it takes up very little space and is highly effective. I actually have 2 of them. One of them is in my gym bag for when I go out to the gym, and the other one is just out in my home gym. So wherever I am, I always have a wrist roller with me, and I like to perform this exercise every day. every day to close out my session. I'd say it's relaxing, but it's quite the difficult thing to do. Once you go up to a couple reps, your forearms are on fire. But like I mentioned, it's very easy to make yourself. The one that I'm using at my home is actually simply a PVC pipe, 3/4 inch PVC pipe with a hole drilled in the center. I believe the PVC pipe is 18 inches, although I mean you could use a 12-inch PVC pipe as well. But you drill a hole in the center, a string is fed through that and a knot tied in it, and then you make a little loop in the other end. And I mean, that's as basic as it gets for a piece of exercise equipment. There's not a lot to it. It can be done in 15 minutes even. But another thing to mention is using different size bars can increase gripping strength as well. So if you decide to make the bar thicker or thinner or a different shape, perhaps almost like doorknobs on the end, very circular and spherical, that will just target different muscles and hit things differently and increase grip strength in different ways. So that's something to keep in mind. You can make multiple different variations. Many sports, like the ones I mentioned that I participated in, wrestling, baseball, American football, still recommend using a wrist roller to increase forearm strength to this day. It is still a common implement. But unfortunately, this simple machine has been all but forgotten in the bodybuilding scene. I would say the majority of bodybuilders now don't even train their forearms. They just, they include it, quote unquote, include it when they're training their biceps. They say that is enough stimulus that they don't really need to target their forearms. Like I mentioned, I don't agree with that. I think you definitely need to train your forearms to build them up, especially if you're a natural guy like I am. You can't just neglect them and expect them to grow. That's not how it works. Silver era bodybuilders like Bill Pearl, John Grimmick, and Reg Park swore by this device. Of course, all those guys were big deadlifters. They were big fans of the deadlift. And this exercise, when I was in powerlifting, I learned it as an auxiliary movement for the deadlift because it increased your gripping strength. And of course, with deadlift and you're doing a powerlifting competition, you can't use straps. So, and I would always do overhand, so, double overhand grip. And in increasing my strength this way, I would be able to grip the bar and not lose it. Of course, you also have chalk, so that helps you, but this exercise really helped me in being able to deadlift a lot of weight. Weightlifting coach and author Bob Hoffman described this piece of equipment as one of the essentials in the quest for increased strength and power. He mentioned that in his book, How to Build an Iron Grip, I think is what it was. I might be wrong about that. It was one of his books he came out with in the 1940s, his series, and he describes this as being a quintessential exercise, one of the ones you just cannot live without if you want to have a good pulling power off the floor. Little thing I wrote in here to always remember is if you can't grip it, you can't lift it, and that's true. It'll slip right out of your hands and you'll have a no lift. So you're only as powerful and strong as your grip. To perform this exercise, you want to begin by affixing a very small weight to the end of the rope or cord. As mentioned previously, you will just slip the knot through the hole and feed it through the bar itself, bring it back through the rope, and there you go. It's attached. Following this, you want to bring your arms straight out in front of your body and make sure the cord is taut so that there is no slack. Your arms should be in line with your shoulders, so at the same plane as your shoulders. Next, you will begin slowly rolling your wrists in an alternating manner to bring the weight up to the top of the bar. The thing I often see done incorrectly here is people will rush this. I mean, they'll be pulling so fast. And I think for certain applications that's acceptable. But I think for a bodybuilding purpose, it needs to be done more slow and methodical. And big turns of the wrist, not these little bitty turns. I mean full wrist turns, and that's how you'll grow your forearms and get the strength and get the most out of it. You want to keep the movement rhythmic in nature, so a good rhythm, steady. You don't want to do it and kind of slow down. You keep that steady, follow that steady rhythm throughout the entire movement. And a big point here, do not let your arms drop or raise above your shoulder height. Keep them in line no matter what. If it starts to burn, keep going. You do not want to have your arms raise up and down throughout the movement. It's completely eliminating the way to manage progression here, because of course when progressing on this exercise you will want to add weight, but of course you want your form to be the same so that you know you're actually progressing and getting stronger here. You want to keep them locked and stable throughout the entire movement. Once the weight is at the top of the bar, you want to begin reversing your hands to lower the weight. So just because you've got it up all the way, your exercise here is not done. Your set is not done. You have to bring the weight down as well. And due to this combined rolling and unrolling of the weight, this movement targets both the flexors and extensors in the wrist and forearms, leading to an incredible pump and cramp in the forearms. I really can't compare this to anything else. I have a lot of buddies that I would work out with in the gym, and I love this exercise, and I specialized in it for a long time, and in fact I got quite strong at it. And I would get them to try it, and they would be just hollering, I mean in complete agony by the end of the first set, grabbing their forearms. It's an incredible feeling. It really is one of those things that if you've never done it before, I can't explain it to you. You just have to experience it. More reason why you should actually build this and own one yourself. It also has the added effect that it strengthens your shoulder girdle due to the static hold of the bar. Because you are holding that bar in that static position, you are also working the muscles, tendons, and ligaments in the shoulder. You're not putting them in any kind of compromised position. You're just having a static hold on that bar, and you'll be working them as well. So that's an added benefit here. Not the primary, but an added benefit. No, this is my opinion. No one exercise provides a better individual stimulus on the forearms, not even wrist curls. I probably will do a follow-up video on wrist curls because a lot of people have been asking about them. I don't personally do them. I think I'll make that clear whenever I do the video on them, but I have never done wrist curls. For me, I get real bad pain in my wrist when I do wrist curls. Something about having the bar over my wrists and bringing my hands down, that overextension gives me terrible pain, and so that's one of the reasons I don't do it. In the next slide, I will show you a demonstration of how to perform this, but it's very basic, very simple, and extremely effective. So if you have any questions, of course, just let me know in the comments section. Alright, as you can see, I have my hands straight out. I've already affixed the weight, of course. I have my hands straight out. Before I actually started, I made sure that the rope was taut, and then I began to roll. And as you can see, this is very slow, methodical. I'm taking my time, and I'm doing big rolls with the wrist, all the way up, all the way down, until I physically cannot go any more up and down with my wrists. I bring the weight all the way up to the bar and all the way back down, making sure to stay with the same tempo throughout. I am not speeding up or slowing down for any reason. And once you can do this, I like to do one rep. Of course I would do a lot more weight than this, but I do one rep up and down, and I call that a set. And I typically do 5 sets. So at the moment I can do 5 sets with the same weight. I will add weight to the 5th set, and then from there I will just continue adding weight until I can do the new weight for all 5 sets. And that's how I manage progression with this exercise and what I've always done. But it's extremely simple. I think people overcomplicate it by lifting their arms up too high or letting them fall down. Just keep them in the same starting position and roll up and roll down, and that's all there is to it. It looks so basic, it looks so negligible. Why would you ever want to do this? But once you give it a shot and stay with it for a while, you will see the difference it makes in your power and your strength in the gym, in the size of your forearms overall. I don't have the biggest arms in the world, but I have built them up substantially using exercises like this, preacher curls, spider curls for my biceps, and heavy tricep extensions and skull crushers. Spider curls and Scott curls for my biceps, and then skull crushers and tricep extensions for my triceps. And that's kind of how I built up my arms. And they have definitely worked for me. I am proud of where I am at this moment. And I think this exercise deserves a spot in everybody's bodybuilding routine, as well, of course, if you're doing weightlifting or powerlifting. But that's pretty much the wrist roller. This video sort of got dragged out, I guess, but I have a lot to say about this exercise because I love it. It's one of my favorites, and it's been with me since the very beginning, and I'll never let it go because it really made a difference for me. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I will be making an update video as we get closer to the 1,000 subscriber milestone, but I think right now we are 122 subscribers away as of this recording, and that is unbelievable. I am so very excited for the future of this channel. Every video I'm getting more comfortable in front of the camera and in front of the microphone, and I am very, very excited for upcoming content. I have a lot of things planned with a lot of very big people in the industry, and I hope to be working with them in the future. Of course, I'll give updates to all of that. But if you wouldn't mind liking this video, subscribing if you haven't subscribed already, turn on the bell notification icon, and until next time, this is Forgotten Fitness signing out. Bye-bye.